This is Misha.
And this is Foxman.
And as promised, I rambled on the table, the history, mechanics a bit, and we did a little bit of internal comparison with a CETME-L. But
Correct.
now we're going to the range. We're going to run these side by side.
Head to head. I like head to head better.
Head to head.
That sounds bad.
It is starting to storm, but that's not it. That's not how thunder sounds in Arkansas. So we're going to run some rounds through these and give you our kind of initial impressions. And then we'll come back here and give you more of a, after days thought and opinion. As always, if you could, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you would like to help support us, Patreon, all that good stuff. And full disclosure, this was a supporter that had it commends gun, and we said, hey, you want to do a video on an HK93? Sure. And comparing it to the CETME just seemed logical. So with that, let's actually go back in time and go to the range and run some rounds for these.
I'll go grab the DeLorean.
HK93. Now Fox's turn with the HK93.
Beautiful.
Now Fox is going to try the CETME-L.
Clear.
Yep. And now my turn with the CETME-L. So we both shot back to back. First thoughts after a mag through each?
Well, I guess it's now I find out how rewarding the CETME-L is. I've always liked this gun. I like these CETMEs. You turned me on to them. Dude, this is just a fun, easy gun to control and shoot. You heard the steel ringing, the proof's in the pudding, even with rapid fire. This CETME just shoots so damn good. HK was great. I like the grip on the HK more. Obviously that comes from my love for the MP5. The CETME's is a little too tight for my hand, but CETME overall is just more comfortable, easier to control, and I like the way my hand fits to the gun more.
Alrighty, well, that was Fox's take. Again, we're just, a couple of mags, and I've shot 93 types before. C93s have been on the channel. Kind of know what they are, what they aren't. And the broad strokes features are really the same. Triggers are different. This one's a little lighter, but longer, spongier. The CETME's is maybe a little stiffer. All in all, about the same. I will say, it's not so much that the HK recoils more than the CETME.
CETME's just a little more controllable.
The impulse, I think what it is with the CETME, with that bigger spring we looked at in the first video, it's spread out more. I think it's the same impulse, but this one's a little quicker. Maybe it takes a half or a quarter second, and the CETME takes a third of a second or something to fully cycle. But that really does translate. CETME's, of course, more square. I will say the HK is probably more a sexy looking gun.
Yeah, the HK looks better.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of shooting, they're really close. But yeah, I'm gonna say slight edge to the CETME, but this is just first impressions, so we'll keep on. Back with the 93.
You're good.
Alright, now me with the CETME again. Now Fox with the CETME.
I'm gonna flip my sight here real quick. Get a wider view. Nice.
And 93.
Clear, boss.
Alrighty, so yeah, we didn't blast through these, but we've shot individually. I've fired different HK93s, Vector V93s, Century C93s. In fact, Jay did a few videos years ago, and we've even run a few rounds through your new to you CETME-L. They used to be Chris Bartacci's,
Shout out to Chris. Thanks for the gun.
and they heard our hot takes right after shooting them just now. They drop rain hit me. Oh well. One thing I'll say, the mag release on these HKs is notorious because you should have the flapper, and you don't. Oh well, that's just how all the pre-bans were. Let me see that CETME-L for just 1 second. I'll hand it back over to you. I was thinking this, and yeah,
it's a little easier to get to.
It's a little bit better, not perfect,
but it's easier to get to.
Yeah, a little bit.
You really got to jump a big leap. If you don't have big hands, you're gonna have some issues with the HK outfield.
And I think the reason is because this never had a flapper, and this did.
Right,
so
right.
It's really not fair to judge. You can't judge the HK93 by that. So I would say on the select fire version, I'm going to say the 33 better. But when you're talking just semi-autos with push button, I actually like the mag release on the CETME-L. I also think I like the charging handle. Now this one's got a little bit of a wear on it from the previous owner. They replace it, but the way it's more up,
and it seems like you get a little bit more of a grab on the HK. It's angled out, so you feel like you chew on it a little longer.
But I do, but I do like the CETME more. I feel like the CETME is a little more natural. Maybe
I
it's
do too.
because it's not. It's a long spring, but it's not.
It's a little smoother. Just looking at the guns comparison, I like the HK charging handle look better. It looks like you're going to be able to get more in your hand, but it's a little deceiving because you don't.
Yeah.
There's a few things on that gun.
And as I pointed out in the first video, that is a lighter gun, the CETME. And we're going to have to go in because it's starting to rain.
Yep.
Yep. Be right back, guys.
BRB.
Now HK jungle style. CETME-L.
Clear. Okay.
Alrighty, guys. Yeah, we had to run in. We almost beat the storm, but something about standing out in the rain with a gun in general, but also in HK, just didn't seem wise. So yes, we're aware the lighting in here sucks. Whatever you've seen for most of this videos outdoors, we do what we can. Sorry, we gotta be somewhere in a minute anyway. So yeah, talking about the charging handle, talking about the mag release, the bolt hold open. We kind of do that. Of course, this has this traditional HK. And that has a more unique button system.
It really does. And it seems to come back just a little easier. I don't know why. You're not fighting anything.
I like that it's back here as opposed to up here. It's more natural when you're done, just like reach up, but then you get to run the bolt. Neither of them are really perfect.
Yeah, they're not.
When H&R did the American version, the T223, that was one thing America, when they were doing trials, they did kind of integrate a bolt hold open. Also, when HK did the G41, trying to get the Bundeswehr divide, they kind of, so that was a known, I don't say shortcoming, but anyone who knows the HK guns, not having a auto hold open is a notable thing. I'm not going to say a flaw, but something to be aware of.
Well, and to get to the CETMEs, it's really not that big of a jump. If you're coming back anyways, your thumb seems to naturally.
And I
want to go
like how
back
it's
there.
like one side to use it when it's not the same button for both. It's like it would be a manual arms getting used to it.
It would. You know,
but once you did,
I wouldn't mind it being where it was the right side because you could actually lift up with your trigger finger and come back and hit it. But you know, I don't know. That might be even more awkward because at least you can keep your trigger finger here and just draw your what you have out on the front of the gun back. So, shit, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
That's kind of odd, but at least it has it.
Yeah, it is. The sights. That's not really most. One thing I will say, this one seems to have a modified rear sight or an aftermarket. The owner didn't think so, but I haven't found anyone else that has this aperture here. So, but it's the same style. Just instead of having a full open rear notch, it's got a little hood over it. These are easy to replace.
You know what's weird is my MP5 stock sights, iron sights, are very well. They're super easy to use. I feel comfortable with them. Man, I could not get comfortable on those for the life of me. And obviously, it could be from the buttstock pushing my earmuffs up. But I think even with low cut ear pro or just the whatever small ones, I think that would still be hard to use the irons on.
And like you said, those sights look like they should be jank.
They look like they should suck, but I can hit steel with these all day.
Now, to be fair, MARCOLMAR did tweak those. I guess it's kind of fair. Both of them have kind of tweaked, but not much. MARCOLMAR made the front side a little finer, maybe the rear side a little different hole, but very close.
And face it, you get a pick rail with the CETME here too.
And you can get them either way. Yeah. Of course, the HK, you can do a claw mount. This one has the optional carry handle, which you see a lot with the 33 style guns. Mm-hmm. And back when this gun was new in the 60s, 70s, having a 40-round mag, especially with a jungle clip, that was pretty good.
Yes.
But nowadays, you can get 40-round mags for ARs. And that's, of course, something that can't be understated. That takes, especially the MARCOLMAR standard AR mags.
Well, let's also talk about mag, just the caliber alone for back in that day, a 223 big caliber.
This was it. I mean, it first appeared in 65, really hit the catalog in 68. In 65, there were basically no other guns except the Armalite stuff. Even the AR-18 was still not quite out yet. Mm-hmm. Even in 68, okay, you had the AR-18 and a couple of others at most, but it was still, if you didn't want to buy from the U.S. or Colt, this was kind of the only other option if you wanted it. And these were actually marked 223. This was pre-5.56 markings. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the magazines used to be a very big asset for that, but today they're kind of a downside because HK mags, any of them, 30s, 20s, 25s, 40s, are expensive and hard to find, whereas that pretty much, it's a little fussy on polymer, but any metal mag, it's fine.
Yeah, these are some of the cheapest. Matter of fact, that gold one we were using is like one of the cheapest polymer or metal mags I have, and the CETME eats it up, man.
Yeah. And this has the HK bipod on the forearm. It's a nice thing. That has a bipod that can clip on. Probably not quite as good, but there is a bipod option.
Well, and while we're talking about bipods, I'm not going to lie, the HK bipods, they almost got annoying in a way because that's exactly where I put my hand, and they were so damn hot from the sun, even with the glove.
Of course, they are QD. You can just pull them off.
Oh, for sure. But I'm just saying, for on there, it's a lot.
And it is a very wide
It grip is. And I like a big, wide hand grip, but
oh, we know you do.
Just wasn't comfortable.
Okay, we're kind of dancing around it. I think we're both in strong, we like the CETME more.
CETME wins.
It's, honestly, aside from maybe looks, which is always subjective.
The HK takes way better pictures.
It does.
It looks pretty. It looks like a badass Terminator, 80s movie superstar kind of dude. The CETME's ugly. I call it the Green Goblin. But man, it's so forgiving to shoot.
And the recoil impulse. I think we might have mentioned it. The CETME it's a more stable, smoother shooter.
And I would feel way more comfortable shooting longer distance with this gun, even on the ground. Even having that gun on the ground, if you're going stock to stock, as far as the gun with no big fancy optics, I feel like I could really reach out with this CETME.
And the funny thing is, dry firing it, this feels like it has a better trigger.
I totally agree.
But in practice, that's a better trigger.
It is a better trigger. The CETME, you feel like you're fighting something when you squeeze the trigger. If you just sit here and you squeeze the CETME trigger, you feel like man, you're fighting something.
What threw me off, and you see it on the very first time I tried it, this is a really weak return on this trigger. You have to, like, almost let it off, and it resets. It didn't fail to reset. On that CETME, it pushes your finger forward.
Very much so.
And that, when you're dry firing them, seems
it's
like annoying. But when you go to actually at the range and you're focusing on... It's good.
It's good. I feel way more in control. Honestly, when you first turned me on to CETMEs and brought them over, I never just ate them up until I really started shooting my 223s and AR-15s. And now this CETME is in my top 5 or 10 favorite guns right now. And it doesn't look like anything I would even like. But dude, I do. I like it. Let's trade me real quick. Yeah, that's funny.
Before we ran up. Yeah. Because I'd say that is... You wouldn't think a pound would matter. And
but it matters.
This is noticeably lighter, slimmer handguard.
I'm going to jump back to it since we're just talking about it. I don't want to beat a dead horse. The trigger on here does feel so much better dry. And I will say the safety is so much better on the HK just because I'm so used to my MP5s.
It's a shorter throw, too.
It is a shorter throw, and I feel like I can maneuver it a lot easier and faster. But when we get to shouldering guns, this dude is just uncomfortable.
Except for, you did like the pistol grip more on it.
I love the pistol. Well, otherwise, it just goes back to
otherwise, that can be changed out on this one.
And I really feel this gun would shine more on the ground, shooting prone, because man, there's just not really a comfortable spot to put your hand on.
I do like that this has a rubber recoil pad. In the winter it wouldn't matter, but it's a hot day, we're sweaty.
Dude.
This stuck to your shoulder. It's curved, which is good, but it's stuck onto the shoulder really well.
And what's so weird is this HK looks so much bigger than the CETME, and they're the same size. And I guess it's just this long stock out here and everything you have on the front, but I'm trying to think of what else just stands out.
Both were 100% reliable. We were running. This will shock some people. We actually ran good ammo today. Lake City, 62 grain NATO.
I don't want to hear any still ammo comments.
For once, we didn't. So they both, and that's fine. We had no magazine troubles with the 3 HKs, and I think 2 of these are just generic ARs. It's no problem. Yeah, the CETME has really come a long way, and it's really interesting because this is one of the very few times when an American kit-built gun, semi-auto kit-built gun, is superior to its military original. The original Spanish CETME, while its reputation is a little overblown, a lot of its problems could be traced back to either bad mags or incorrectly done ammo in Spain. But it can't be denied that there were some trouble with the CETMEs themselves. Right. Some of them had janky springs and other things going wrong. MARCOLMAR fixed that, including giving them better sights.
Absolutely. And the ability to pull this dude right out of the box straight and shoot is reliable and is straight. I mean, the video you watched today, that was the 3rd time I've shot this gun. Yep. Never practiced, never ran drills with it, and I have never felt like I'm not in the vicinity of where I'm aiming.
Yeah, of course, both of them have camouflage barrels. This has a 1-in-7 twist, that being in older guns a 1-in-12. 1-in-12? This is what it is. Only the very final HK93s had 1-in-7, so it's just what it is. So if there's a little bit of an accuracy discrepancy, we'll give it to that. We'll say that we were shooting the ammo this was made for, where that was being pushed a little beyond... But we're not talking about a 10-inch barrel either. So
will all standard MP5 claw mounts like that MFI I have, will it mount up to this, or
if it's a standard?
Okay,
if it's a standard.
Well, that's a plus. So I mean, really, the no pick rail isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah. And to be fair, the original CETME didn't have a pick. That's something they did. On there. It had its own mount, but so they both were pretty. Again, they're very, very similar. This did come out a lot later. This was adopted in 84 for the military, went into service around 86, 87. That was first shown off in 65, hit the catalog in 68.
Yeah, you got to think, for coming out in 1968, this is very impressive, especially high caliber 223. I mean,
it is. It's not a bad gun. And they do really well with over-the-beach things, short barrel. I was telling him the HK-93 was really what was successful over the 33. Having a 8-inch some odd change barrel in 223 was, and that came out around 74. That was pretty special.
Yeah.
For that day and time.
Very much.
But yeah, unfortunately, hot take, or maybe fortunately, because CETMEs are a lot cheaper. Not dogging on the HK.
No, not at all.
If you're a fan of the HK93 33 and you haven't tried a CETME, try it.
Try it. That's what I was gonna say. Or also, if you're just a fan of this in general, don't let us talk you out of it. This is just. It's kind of like you're comparing apples to oranges, but in a way.
They're pretty similar.
They are pretty similar.
Yeah.
The more I think about it.
Yeah, and a lot of everything they do. And for me as a collector, aside from price and everything else, this appeals to me more because this was adopted by Spain, a European country that wasn't. Now, there were countries that did use the HK, but they're not really countries that are like, for example, Malaysia. No patch on Malaysia. I'm sure you're a great place, but I don't have like a Malaysian firearms collection.
Right.
I do have a Spanish firearms collection. So this fits right in. The fact that it's kind of cool and unique looking. I mean, I don't have many green guns. This in the AUG. Yeah, this in the AUG, in maybe a SIG with the kind of greenish. That's it. I mean, so it's different. Says the blind guy.
Were they the same? Yeah, I have a blind question about color. Were they the same style of green when they were original?
Yeah, when MARCOLMAR did these, it's kind of cool. They had original parts, and they kind of analyzed them with, I guess, a spectral analysis. And, of course, the color green that Spain did changed over time. Just like the color gray that Colt used on the AR did.
Changed over time.
They kind of said, okay, we're going to take, 50, and they kind of averaged the color. So they put a lot of effort into these to kind of replicate the color.
One more question. Why does the CETME have such a large trigger guard here, like almost a Swiss gun, when it's probably not used in that kind of climate?
The CETME or the HK?
Both. But, well, I understand HK, but the CETME. The CETME has a very large trigger guard for a gloved hand.
Yeah, it's. I think it's just that for getting a glove in.
Okay.
I mean, one way you can have a glove hand is to have the trigger guard hinge, like on the Swiss gun, or an AR. AR hinges down, or you could just make a big trigger guard.
I just didn't know if they have always been like that.
Yeah,
because of their climate or where they were mostly
it's
used at.
it's just easier gloves, and it might not be cold weather. It could just be shooting gloves like you wear.
Yep.
Or just whatever, but and this is just a stamped part. It comes off. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could take it off and pull the trigger guard off. I mean, it's not.
Yeah. No, I'm not complaining. I was just.
No, I know you're not. I'm just saying it. And on the HK, it's part of your trigger pad.
Yeah.
Now, I will give this one area the HK does beat the pants off the CETME: disassembly. The HK is easier to take apart.
Well, they're all so similar.
This
to
you
the
gotta
MP5.
pull this off and jank with the safety. Pull your trigger pack. It's not too bad. The HK is still better, but otherwise, it's still a push pin up here too. Everything else. So, it was fun. It
was a really fun comparison. I like comparisons.
Yeah.
This was a fun one to do.
Well, this is an apt one. They're very, very similar. But, the CETME, I'm happy owning CETMEs and not necessarily owning an HK93, 93. Not that I would say no, and my friend owns 2 of those. He loves them. That's awesome.
And it looks good. I'm going to go back to that. It looks good, man.
And in another world, and again, I like the G3. I've got a Springfield SAR3, and I've got a couple of different MP5s, so I'm not hating on the design. I kind of feel like the 7.62 NATO and the 9mm speak to me more than that gun.
I'll agree.
Personal thing. But either way, perfectly reliable, a lot of fun, but in almost every way that matters, the CETME just worked for us better.
It sure did.
Yeah. So guys, if you'd like to know more about the history of that gun, you can check out my first video. Yeah, it's long, but it was actually storming that day too, ironically, when I recorded it. So I even disassemble and talk about the differences. Even though these are both roller delay guns, they are different. Parts are not interchangeable. This has a much bigger spring that comes all the way back here, which is actually probably why it recoils so nicely. But yeah, check that out. And as always, if you could, please do like, share, and subscribe.
Check out the link to our Patreon if you can. That always helps.
And if you're into these kind of guns, we've got videos on the 7.62 CETME, the G3 type, of course, several videos on the MP5. They're all around. Just search the channel. But either way, hope this was maybe fun or maybe a little informative. Again, sorry for having to come indoors, but if you can hear,
it's raining good now.
We got in just in time. I don't think my friend would have appreciated his 93, even if it's a shooter one, getting drenched in rain.
No, probably not. We'll take good care of it.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys, this is Misha.
And this is Fox.
We'll catch you very soon next time.